Thank you to everybody for joining the call today. Again, my name is Kurt Turnison. I'm the founder and CEO of RiskRevu. And I am excited to share with you some information today about the platform and about how our forms can be used by the service staff of an agency to make them more efficient, more productive, and to help them cross-sell policies somewhat and almost effortlessly. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen so we can do a quick overview of the platform. All right. Okay, so let's start with a quick overview of the RiskRevu platform. When a user logs into RiskRevu, this is the dashboard that they see initially, okay? And I'll take you through a quick navigation overview. There are 4 buttons here that bring you to the different areas of the site. Forms, is where you can access the links to the different forms that we have. Responses, where you can access all the responses you get to the forms submitted by clients or other parties. Profile is where you can view what we call the public profile, and account settings. This is where our users, once they log in for the first time, they will set up and edit their profile. So let me show you real quick how they do that. They go up to My Account and they hit Edit Profile. So here at the beginning, they start off by entering some basic information, name. They upload a headshot, their company logo, basic contact information, a short bio. And then the next section is where they select the forms that they want to show up on their public profile. So some agents are specifically personal lines, some are specifically commercial lines, some are just service focused, some are sales focused. So depending on the agent's role, they will select the forms that are applicable to them. Okay, so risk evaluations is the first. We have 3 types of forms. Risk evaluations is the first type. Risk evaluations help agents gather updated information on existing risks. Okay, and the way they add a form to their profile is simply by clicking on the slider button here. So when they click it off, the form will no longer show up on their profile. When they click it on, the form will show up on their profile. Just a quick word about this Activate Zapier webhooks. We have an integration with Zapier where we can send all form data to third-party software vendors to implement certain automations. And we'll be talking more about that in a later webinar. So I'll turn that off for now. And you can see here, it's very easy to navigate and to see the different types of forms that are under risk evaluations. The next type of form is new policies, new policy options. So here, this is similar to an intake form for a new line of business. So again, turn off the form by clicking the slider, turn on the form by clicking the slider, okay? And say, you know, for example, if I'm an agent and I don't sell aircraft insurance, I would turn that form off. Okay, I'm going to leave it on for now. Scroll down further, you can see all the forms for intake forms or new policy forms. And the last section, which we'll be diving in today, is the service policy forms. Okay, so again, on and off, select the forms that you want, and at the bottom, hit Save Profile, and now your profile is saved. Okay, and you can view your profile by hitting the View Profile button. And there, that's what it looks like. Let's go back to the dashboard. All right, I'll just show you real quick what the forms page looks like. This is where you can access the links for each form. So if you're looking to send a client a specific form, like maybe that you're looking to round their account out with a new auto policy, you want to send them that link, you hit the copy button and then paste that link into an email. You can also preview the form by clicking on the hyperlink, which is the name of the form. Let's view responses. This is where you go to view all your form responses. You can hit the View button to see all the form data. And the last section I'll show you real quick is the group dashboard before we jump into the topic of today. The group dashboard allows the administrator of the account, which is the first person to sign up. They can see all of the users underneath them, and they can add new users. They can also see some agency-wide statistics, as well as individual statistics for the usage of RiskRevu. Okay? They can also view each one of their users' form responses if they'd like. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic, which is how our service teams, account executives, account managers, customer service representatives, how they can use RiskRevu to make themselves more productive and cross-sell. So let's do that by starting with a view of the public profile. And this is a page within the public profile. So this is where we start. So let's start with a simple one under the service evaluations. And let's say, in a normal day, our service team gets, tens, hundreds of calls related to new cars, okay? And the typical response to that call, or email. So the client either emails the service person, or the client calls, or the dealer calls. Someone calls with a request, I need to add a new car to a policy. The typical response was, all right, let me take all the information over the phone. Instead of doing that, we have a new vehicle dealer or new vehicle information dealer form, okay? And this form will collect all the information needed to add that new car to the policy. So instead of taking all that information over the phone and saying, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, let me go through a list of questions and ask you all the questions. Instead of doing that, you say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Clients, what's your dealer's email address? Great, grab the email address. And then what we do is we send the dealer an email with a link to the form. And I actually have, and this is just so you can see, I have an email up on the screen. I actually have a template built out under Quick Parts in my Outlook. So I go to Message, Insert, Quick Parts, and then I have a form template for a new car. I call it New Car Dealer. And that will enter the template right into the email body. I hope you're well. I'm an insurance agent for this client, and I'm helping to provide the necessary insurance documents for you to complete the transaction, so on and so forth. There's the link to the email. This gets sent directly to the dealer. The dealer clicks the form, they fill out the form, they hit the submit button. Okay, and you can see here, there's the form. There's all kinds of conditional logic built into it. What's your preferred method of delivery, email or fax? Upload a window sticker. Is this a lease or financed? What's the lien holder, name and address, so on and so forth. When they're ready to submit, they hit yes, ready to submit, and they hit submit. Once they hit submit, all that information goes directly back to the person who sent it to them. Okay, so that's one example. We also have other forms. And here's an interesting one, which is the legal entity form. So in many cases, when a person puts a home into a trust or an LLC, we as agents need to get additional information about that LLC. So we have a form for that. And this form can, again, be shared with a client to access and to get that information in a digital fashion. So you select the correct form. We have the share button here. that you can click the share button, copy the link, and then you can allow access. You can share that link in an email to that client. Again, they go through the form, they click the necessary buttons that have conditional logic built in, they hit submit, and all that data comes back to the agent so that they can process that on their end. Okay. Now, another interesting use of these forms is when you are looking to provide service. And today, more than ever, I think, service is paramount. we're looking to help clients save money. We're looking to help them be better covered. And a form is a great way to do that. And let me give you another example. I'm going to go back to the main page of the profile, and I'm going to click on risk evaluations, because this is a place where our service staff can help provide service by gathering updated information from our clients that will help them better provide better coverage, but also maybe identify some additional credits. So let's look at the annual personal risk evaluation. So sometimes a client will, sometimes we'll have clients that we haven't talked to in a year or more, and we want to do a review with them. So how do we start that process? Well, it can start with an email. And so going back to my email template here, one thing that we can do is we can have a form email created for an annual review. So I have a template built out here. And dear client, I hope you're well. So the situation is, you're going through your renewals and you say, okay, that client, I'd like to have a conversation with. We haven't talked in a while and like to see if there's any updated information. One way you can start that, obviously you can call them, but you could also send them a form email that says, dear client, I hope you're well. As you may be aware, we're approaching the renewal of one or more of your insurance policies. My goal is to keep your coverage up to date with changes in your life. Please click the link below and fill out the form. This is a link to the annual personal risk evaluation, which is this form right here. So they click on the form and then they go through, they say, okay, I have a home, I don't have a secondary home, I don't have valuables, I have auto, liability, and I'd like to see what these commonly overlooked coverage updates are. And then they go through and they fill it out. Did you install an alarm system? What are the components? What risk mitigation strategies do you employ at this residence? A permanent generator, a water shutoff valve. Is your home in a trust or LLC? Yes. Have you done any updates? Yes. Tell us about the updates. So on and so forth. So this form can go through each line and get updated information. Sometimes clients will have no updates, but sometimes they do. And these radio buttons and different questions will help you identify those things quicker. So that's one example of how that can be done. Another form is in the same section, risk evaluations can be done on the business side. A business risk evaluation, same concept. You have a client, you want to reach out to them, start a review conversation, send them a template email or a personalized email with a link to the form saying, hey, you can complete this form to help us understand some of the updates in your world, or you can give me a call to start a conversation. Either way, it's a great way to start that conversation. Another really interesting usage of this that we've seen is on a campaign basis. So service individuals can do this on a one-off basis. Say a client calls in and says, hello, I'm buying a house. I need your help. And they email, they either call or email. Let's say they email in. They email you and say, I'm buying a house. You could write back to them and say, great, please complete the homeowners form. And we have the homeowners insurance comprehensive form here, which is what we're going to discuss in this call as well. So I'll go through it real quick. Please complete the link to this, the form at this link to give me information about the house so that I can get you an accurate quote. So first thing is, since it's an existing client, you can actually type in the information you already have. Their name, you can type in their preferred phone number, their email, their date of birth, all this stuff that all the stuff that you already know, you can type into the form. And then at the bottom, you can hit save and continue. And then the save and continue will give you another link that has the saved form in it. And then you can send the saved form link to the client. So when the client opens it up, they see that it's already partially filled out. And then the client can complete the form with the information that the agent doesn't know. They can put in the address. They can put, if someone else will be named on the quote, what their date of birth and their occupation is. They can tell you if they're purchasing the house, what the purchase price is. what the date of closing is, if they're going to be doing a renovation to the house, and what the approximate budget is, how long the renovation is going to take, what the occupancy of this property is going to be, if it's going to be rented to others, if it's a long-term lease, if it's a summer rental, so on and so forth. It'll allow them to say what their primary or current home address is. As we know, we need that information for insurance bureau scoring. It'll allow them to say if there's going to be a mortgage and who the contact for the mortgage is going to be, if they're going to escrow the premium, if there's going to be a trust or LLC, what the name of the trust is, if there's an alarm system, what the components of the alarm system are, and if they have an alarm certificate, what the risk mitigation features of this home are, what the square footage, the year built, how many stories the house has, what the age of the roof is, and some other features about the construction, the updates, the oil tank, the finished basement, the pool, the other structures, so on and so forth. And so again, there's a lot of conditional logic in here that eliminates questions that the client has to answer if it's not relevant to them. So no attached garage, so they don't have to answer the subsequent question. Do they have any jewelry? Tell us about your jewelry. Would you like a flood quote? Okay. And then they can put some additional comments here. They can upload the copies of their declarations pages, and they can tell us who they were referred by. This is a current customer, so I just put current customer there. Are you ready to submit the form? Yes. Hit submit. Okay. So it gathers a lot of information, and clients actually like giving this information because they feel like they're giving us more information to make them better protected. So that's the homeowner's comprehensive form. The agency service person can just email a link to the client saying, great, I'll get you a quote as fast as possible. As soon as you complete this form, I will start working on that quote for you. All right, so that's another example. And they can do that in a cross-selling and rounding situation as well. So say, you know, you haven't talked to a client in a while and you're looking at a list you know, from your agency management system that says, these are all the clients we have with home, but not with auto. Okay, great. Well, that's a great prospecting list. So now we want to email every single one of those clients a template email with a link to the automobile insurance form so that they can then say, okay, you know, the template email says, you know, dear client, thank you for your business. We appreciate it. We noticed that we insure your home, but not your auto. If you'd like to get a quote, you can either give us a call or you can fill out this quick form to submit the information we need to get you an accurate quote as soon as possible. And I bet you more times than not, they're going to fill out the form. And that's been my experience over the last 2 years of using these forms in my own practice. And it's phenomenal. Because the client, I think, really enjoys it. It's very quick for them. And the data that I get and our users get is it's complete, it's accurate from the client, and it's all delivered to your inbox and to the RiskRevu platform. Another example of that, and I'm just going to take a couple more minutes here and then I'll open it up for questions, is business cyber liability. If you have business customers, you want to cross-sell cyber liability. Template email, identify the list of customers who don't have it, template email, and send an email, individualized email to each client with a link to the business cyber liability form. And they can go in and fill out the form with all the questions needed to get a quote for cyber insurance. Okay? And it's very helpful, you know, from a service standpoint, from a sales standpoint, because there's a lot of questions that underwriters want to know that we on the front lines may not necessarily know. And so the form knows the questions, it has the questions in there. There's always going to be some underwriters that ask for additional questions, but the form asks a lot of the questions that they need. Another great example is, and I think this is in the service section, is personal cyber. And one of our users asked us to build this form for them. And this is a service that we provide to our customers, is building specific forms for them. One of our customers asked us to build a pure insurance, personal cyber insurance coverage request form. because they wanted to do a blast of all their pure customers who don't have personal cyber coverage and get them to sign up for it if they wanted to. So they developed an email campaign. They uploaded the list to their email marketing software to all those clients that don't have pure cyber. They created a template message to send to those clients, and in that message they included a link to this form, which is this link right here. Copy the link. They copied it right into their email template, and they sent that email to all their clients, and then they got, you know, a certain percentage of them signed up right away, and some of them didn't. But it was a campaign that was very successful. So here in the form, they have the opportunity to sign up for whichever level of service they want. And it says binding requirements and pricing details, disclaimer, all this stuff. Enter any questions. Are you ready to submit? Yes. And then that agent, once they got those submissions, they'd reach out to the client and confirm the coverage requests that they had, and then add the coverage. So a really simple way, and I thought a really smart way to add some additional coverage, important coverage to our clients in a streamlined fashion. Okay. So, and that can be done on any number of things. In the last minute here, I wanted to show you another quick, really interesting form another user asked us to build, which is called the producer issuance form. So they wanted to put some structure to their policy issuance process because it was basically coming in on a sheet of paper or an email, and it was a mishmash of things, and there was no real structure to the data or the process. So they asked us to build a personalized issuance instructions form. And this was meant to be delivered to a marketing role who was doing the quoting and doing the issuing of the policy that was separate from the producer. So the producer is responsible for filling out this form saying who's the producer, what's the referral source, and then entering all the various details about that account that the issuer needs to know to make sure that the policy is issued correctly. The feedback I received from the agency is that this form transformed the way that they did business in a positive way. It made them much more efficient and reduced the friction between the producer and the marketing role significantly. And in turn, the client experience, because policies were being issued accurately. Okay, so at that, with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. Let me just finish up on this screen right here. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open it up for questions. So there is a chat box here, and if you have a question, please put it into the chat box. So I do see a question here. Thank you for sending it over. It says, would the system integrate with Epic? So the answer to that currently is that it does not integrate with Epic. Integrations with AMS, agency management systems, is something that we are actively working on and we want to have available to our users in the long term. Our current integration is with Zapier, and through Zapier, there are over 1,500 different software applications that it can integrate with. Most of them on the order of customer relationship management software and things of that nature, which I'm very excited about the automation potential of that integration. Salesforce is another one it can integrate with as well. But thank you for your question. Any other questions? Great, here's another question. Thank you. If you don't have a form that my agency needs, can you build it for us? So the answer is yes. So as I referenced during the webinar, there are several forms on our platform today that were user-driven. And so basically, if there's a form that a user wants us to build, we have a small fee to do it, starting at $100. It depends on the complexity of the form, but yes, we build a lot of forms and specific forms for our user base. Here's another question. So can we integrate with DocuSign or an e-sign software? So we do not integrate with DocuSign or other e-sign software. We do have a built-in electronic signature feature within each form. that we can activate. And actually, it's a good question, and I'll have to research it because DocuSign may integrate with Zapier. And so if that's the case, then yes. And so I'll have to find that answer out. But we do have an e-signature feature to each form that we can add to each form. But we don't have a direct integration with DocuSign. How do you handle adding customized buildable forms? So I'm not 100% clear on that question. In terms of how do we handle adding, so I'll answer how do we handle adding customized forms. So basically the process is if one of our users wants us to build a form for them, they would submit a request. Sometimes they'll submit a request and they have the actual form already built. And so our team just needs to convert that into a digital form. And in those cases, our team will, sometimes it's a one-to-one conversion, but most times, because of the way our forms are built and the conversational nature of them, where the questions are spelled out, it's not just a two-word, field. Sometimes, and the conditional logic as well. So they'll put their input into building that form out and do it that way. And if they don't have a form for us to use and they just say, we'd like you to build us a form for this specific process, then we just ask them to outline the process for us and explain to us what they're trying to accomplish. And then our team will do their best to convert that into that user's vision and what they're trying to accomplish. Like, for example, the personal pure cyber form. There was no form for that. The user had a vision and explained it to our team, and our team took that and made the form. Great question. So here's another question. Thank you for the question. It's a great question. Does an agency purchase the form or have access to all forms? So once you are a user of RiskRevu, you have access to all the forms, okay? So it's important to mention, we have 3 levels of subscription. It's a software as a service subscription, so it's a monthly fee, or you can pay in full to get a month free. The first subscription is an individual user. It's $29 a month. The next level is an agency subscription for up to 10 users, and that is $99 a month. And then the third level is our enterprise level. That is for $250 a month, and that is for up to 50 users. And whatever level you sign up for, you have access to all the forms. Great. Any other questions? Excellent. Well, this was excellent. Thank you again for taking the time to spend with me today to talk about RiskRevu out of your busy schedules. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend, and make sure you stay safe out there. Oh, sorry, that's not a question, but make sure you stay safe out there, and feel free to email us if you have any questions or comments. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.